What's up, guys? Today we're playing Saints Row. I just thought that, after considering certain things, like there's still videos with absolutely no clarity about how the game works. So, I just decided I'm just gonna make this video just to do a little demonstration of the things that I want to highlight. I saw a video of a person who was having trouble with actually, they were expressing how much they hate this game due to certain things. And the things that they mentioned are things that I thought, I thought by now people knew that you can actually adjust the things that you don't like in Saints Row. I mean, when they say the customization is deep, it's actually really deep. It's deeper than none of us actually expected. All the way from, your character, your boss that you create, the cars, and right to the settings as well. You can actually adjust how the game works, to suit your gamer skills and preferences. So it's really deep. I'm gonna try to highlight some of the things that you can actually do here. Because in one of the reviews, I heard someone express their hate for the aiming system of this game, which it's something that you can customize as well. So let's start. First things first. Before I begin, I'd just like to note, I thought it was worth noting that the game has two types of settings, options in the game menu, and then there's also accessibility settings. So if you go to your options, those are the usual settings that you may find in pretty much in most any other game. You know exactly what to expect from that, but it's not exactly alike. You might want to actually go into it and just check it out, just so you can get your preferences there. Okay, now it's for the first time that I actually found a game that allows me to adjust a game to this level, adjust the features of a game to this level. So in the accessibility menu, you're going to get your menu there. You have the gameplay, you have the controls, you have the visuals, you have the audio, and you have the camera. So almost pretty much the same as the other ones, just that these ones are more deeper. And with some of the settings like this one, actually you can actually see that there's some kind of repetition, but for me it doesn't really bother me. It actually even makes it easier, so I don't have to go back all the time to the options menu. So in here, well, what I like about these settings also is that they actually give a brief description of what the setting is, so that when you adjust it, you know exactly what you're getting into. So this game, if you can just check that, I think that Volition was actually trying to make a game that's accommodative, to all Saints Row fans, considering the first and second game fans and the third and fourth game fans. What I noticed about that is that you can actually change how the game plays, like I said, according to your preference and to your gaming skills. For example, with that aiming system that the guy mentioned. Now, when you go to gameplay, you're gonna get your automatic quick time events. I actually want to be part of the game. I like a game that's actually that actually allows you to interact more. Everything is more or less dependent on you. I don't really like automatic stuff, so I just turned it off so that I get to participate a lot in those quick time events. And then you go to your vehicle speed limit. When it comes to speed, I want it to go as fast as possible. Yeah, I think I can handle all that. I never really had trouble with high speeds in previous games that I've played, so I really don't see a need for a limit. So when it comes to time limits, they say no time limits, and I said no, that's off, because I actually want the time limits to be there. It makes it more challenging. So yeah, next let's go to the controls. When you go to the controls, you're gonna see your view controls, so where you're gonna view the main controls. You know how that works. And then customize wireless controller, we'll look into that left stick dead zone. And then what I really want to come to is the toggles. Now as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can actually toggle. You can actually switch or have that option to whether toggle a feature or not, like skip cinematic. You can toggle whether you want to press a button when you want to change the walk speed, or press a button when you want to equip the wingsuit. That's the wingsuit braking feature there, and then so on and so on. There's just so much. Now let's go to visuals. Okay, now it gets a little bit interesting here. Actually, all these settings are very detailed and quite interesting. So when you go under visuals, you can see your contrast and then motion blur. I really don't like that stuff, so I just put it off altogether. In any game, I've never really had a game that motion blurred. And then the camera shake, you know, to add to the action. Yeah, like I said before, all the descriptions of the settings are actually on the right side of the screen. So as you can see, you have all that I allowed, and then we have the reticle settings. You know, I like a little bit of a challenge, so you can see you're gonna see when I go to the reticle settings, you have the minimap size. You can actually do that. You can actually change how the minimap looks on your screen, so that's really cool. And then another feature that actually bothered me with this game visually are the GPS ground arrows. Those didn't really seem realistic to me. For those wondering what those are, they're those arrows that actually show on the ground while you're driving. They'll be lighting. Most of the time I see purple. So for me, that's not really on. It doesn't really make the gameplay enjoyable. So I switched them off altogether. And then I only allowed the wall arrows. You can see that when I'm about to turn, you can see the arrows. I'll show you during a gameplay. And then the other feature that I didn't like the enemy health bars that I saw on top, like during the trailers, the gameplay trailers before the game was released. I was like, I'm gonna have a problem with that. I hope I can switch it off. Luckily for me, I can switch it off, and I did do that because it's quite disturbing. I want it to be a little bit more challenging. I don't want to see just how much close I am to killing someone. So I just want it to be like a spontaneous experience, and that's exactly what I've done. So as you can see, the blood or gore is on. Brutal takedowns definitely on. Who wouldn't like that? Color blind mode, well, you know, I don't have any color blindness issues, so not as far as I know, so it's off. And then force underwear, well, this is actually part of what you can adjust during the game, when you're creating your boss and when you're changing the costumes and all that. Those settings are actually still available. So here's just repetition again. Alright, now let's go into the reticle settings to see how we can solve that reviewer's problem. So here are the reticle settings. You're gonna get your non-target reticle color, hostile reticle color, friendly reticle color. So these are just the colors that actually differentiate, you know, between the different reticles when you point to different people, you know. So I've turned them all white because, like I said before, I want more of a challenge. It's not even relevant at all because I've actually, if you can see right there, down there at non-combat reticle, I've turned it off, and the fine aim reticle is also off. I turned the non-reticle off because, you know, it wouldn't really make sense for me to have it on because I'm not in combat, so I don't need it. Fine aim, well, as long as I have the hip fire reticle on, which is set on default, it's actually on. I don't actually need that fine aim as much because remember, I was aiming for, you know, a more realistic effect, you know, to the gameplay. So, you know, you don't actually have that fine aim reticle in real life. So that's why I put it off. And then the reticle size, I found it was irrelevant, but yeah, I put it to 100 for absolutely no reason. Now let's go to the aiming system. Now these are accessed in the camera accessibility options, and you can see there in the camera you're gonna have the on foot camera follow, like it says on the description that, you know, it's an option whether to have the camera automatically get behind you when you're walking. So I don't want that. I just want to have a free 360 view that I control all the time. And then the vehicle camera follow, it's the time that it takes for the camera, like it says on the description, the time that it takes for the camera to follow you, you know, when you're driving. And then moving on to the aim assist settings, you have the lock on type, there's the short, there's the full lock, there's the snap only, there's the off. I chose short lock because it would be more realistic for a person to actually have a good aim at something when it's actually at close range. You can have it a full lock like it actually does show on the GTA. That's one thing I actually didn't like about the GTA 5 is that auto lock on new targets. The fact that you can always have a perfect lock on targets while they're far away as well. It just didn't really seem that fun for me, you know, in terms of gameplay, or that realistic either. So I just had the lock on type on short lock. That means I can only perfectly lock on a person, on an enemy at close range, as you actually would in real life. And then the auto lock on new targets is completely off. I had a lot of people complaining about the sensitivity of the game, and while I looked at a lot of reviews, none of them actually took time to actually go through the controller sensitivity settings to actually adjust them. None of them did that. And you have those settings here. You can understand my frustration as a Saints Row fan who actually discovers that we were actually given this much control in this game, and people just ignore it completely and do what? Go on the net and bad name it, say how bad it is, how bad the sensitivity is. You know, I'm just gonna give you this advice only once for Saints Row, but it's the most important advice you can actually take with you to the Saints Row game, is that if you don't like something, change it, adjust it, because you are given the access. People just ignore this entirely. This is not GTA after all. And like I said before, I don't actually recommend the default settings. That's why it's worth actually going through all of this and then looking into it. You're gonna find a solid, good gameplay after adjusting these settings, I promise you. Same goes for the driving settings. There are actually those here, the driving settings, so you can actually adjust the sensitivity, you know, of the gear when you are turning the car left or right. I actually heard some reviewers complaining about that as well, and I never heard them mentioning, you know, adjusting those settings. So they're just there. There's a difference between the options and the accessibility settings. Please, when you buy the game, and then the first thing that you're gonna want to do is actually go through the settings and just tune up the game just how you like it. I promise you're gonna have a solid experience that way, because there are actually a large number of gamers enjoying this game. I think people are just exposed to these rushed out reviews that were, you know, in a hurry to get a lot of viewers on launch date. And I'll say to you openly that, you know, the only thing that I found wrong with the game are the glitches. The glitches were definitely there, but guess what? There were patches that were actually issued, updates, of course, 2 so far, and we're going on a 3rd, and they make a difference. And it was just the glitches, nothing else. You know, every game has that. Why do we have to be so harsh on this one? There's bitter, hardcore Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2 fans that are just lashing out on a game. You know, they're just going all out to try to convince the developers to go back to that same tune. Well, I myself prefer the tone of the present games than those Saints Row 1 and Saints Row 2. So I think they're actually taking a good direction. It's new, it's fresh, and it's exciting, despite what a lot of reviews say. Now I get why some reviewers actually jumped on the bandwagon on hating on this game so much when it actually launched. I understand the bugs might have been there, but you know, if you can compare just how much hate it was getting, it was not really deserving of the hate. I get why they actually did that. You know, you have to get those views by all means, even if it's actually giving out misleading information. I guess that's what you gotta do. You just gotta get those views at all costs. So I get why they did it, even though I believe it was actually wrong. And then we have audio. There you have your prioritized critical speech. Didn't really read into that. Context or audio volume. Subtitles, I like them all. Opacity of the background of subtitles, you can adjust that. Subtitle names, well, I just turn them off because that's how I like it. I don't like the subtitles telling me who's talking or who's speaking at the moment. I just want to test if I'm actually invested in the game, so I can actually identify people by their voices. So it actually influences me to be more invested in what's going on, the dialogue and all that. As much as they said that the dialogue is actually cringy, yeah, there is that silliness. Cringe is a bit of an exaggeration. I could just say that the dialogue is actually silly. It's all I could say. And after all, this is a Saints Row game. You have a lot of what the F moments. Alright, now after adjusting those settings, let's go into the game and see how it looks and how it works, how it plays. Alright, so there's my character. I think just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to go get my car so that I can get things up. I can actually there's plenty of things to do. Once you've okay, so I get to choose my vehicle, and you can actually get a what I like about this game is that it's so innovative. Of course, some of the things, yeah, you don't see them for the first time in a game, but I see them for the first time in a Saints Row game, and they work so well. So yeah, I'm just gonna, for now, I really want to choose the hoverboard, and I also want to choose the hoverbike as well, but I'm just gonna choose the traditional kind of vehicle that I customized myself. I like it too. So it's this one. And there you are. So it's the Ridge Lord that I customized myself. And you can tell by the color as well, because that's my favorite color. Don't ask me why. It's just a coincidence that, Saints Row's cover is actually the same color as mine. So as you can see, when I'm driving here, wait, first I think I need to set a destination so that I can show you the difference, between what we saw in the trailer. When you're heading to a certain destination and you get the arrows on the road, the GPS arrows. Okay, here's my first threat that I want to go to. I think it's also worth mentioning that I've exterminated some of the other threats. So I'm heading to this one. As you can see, I've already set my destination, but there are no arrows on the floor. That's how I like it. And then if you watch the map, you're gonna see that's where I turn. And let me just say this first. The first time you enter the game and you view the map, obviously there's gonna be very little activities, side activities, or very little things to actually interact with. But once you've progressed through the game, and it doesn't even take that long, as you open up the world as you progress, as in most RPGs. So you'll see on my map now, I can actually access the threats now. I actually have the threats by other gangs that threaten my establishments or ventures, in other words. So I have to go and exterminate them to ensure that my ventures actually give me a higher profit than they are right now, because what these threats do is actually decrease the profit generated by the ventures. So there's a lot actually going on in this game. It's the story mode, and then you have the side quests, you have the adventures, your side hustles, and you have what? When it comes to side hustles, there are types of side hustles you learn about. The ventures, the most wanted app. There's a lot. For now, I'm just gonna try to. That's where you're gonna see that. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! I don't want to crash into him. I know it won't have any serious consequence, but what if the cops are around? I don't want to have an endless chase with the cops. Okay, so those are the arrows that I was talking about. The arrows that display on the corner. So those are the only ones that are actually allowed to display. You can turn them off as you saw in the settings, but no, that's how I prefer it. So here's my thread. I know the idols are here somewhere. I think these are them, always having parties as usual. Does this count as a rave party? Oh my god. They didn't put up my bed. Oh no, it's my fault. I forgot to get the bed in my storage back at the HQ.
This don't concern you.
Okay, so I'll just work with what I have right now. It's my fault. Sorry, I was supposed to pick the bat. I prefer the bat. Taking out these guys, I prefer the bat because, you know, it's just a flawless gameplay with that, you know. I enjoy that the most. So here we are. Bam! Sometimes I feel crazy taking these guys all by myself, but I like the challenge, so I'ma do it. And it's not like I haven't done it before. I've done it before. It gets hard and I die sometimes. But once I know what to expect on the second play, then I get them. It takes me the second play to actually get it right. I'm like Batman, you know. I can do a lot of good by myself if I know what to expect, if I'm ready with enough prep time. Oh god. Alright, I like it when she's defenseless. I'm gonna take advantage of that. There you go. Now just to finish, oh, there's still another one. Okay, I'm gonna finish up the rest. Alright, as you can see, the more time you spend on gang fights, the more your notoriety increases, and you wouldn't like it to dial up all the way to the maximum level. So you just want to finish them as quick as possible. It's what makes this game intense and fun at the same time. Now I believe this is the last one. I think I'm left with the last one. There you go. Haha. Right. So that's it for today, guys. I just wanted to demonstrate some of the things, you know, like you can go around bad naming a game, that's okay, but it's better if you bad name it knowing that you actually gave time to it. Like I always say to people that everyone has their preferences. You know, it may happen, it may be that the fans of the first and second game are just not satisfied with it because simply it's not their type of game anymore. Because like I said in my previous video, Saints Row stopped being, you know, Saints Row 1 and 2 from Saints Row the Third, you know. That's Saints Row the Third. That's when it started taking its own tone, you know. So yeah, so it could be the case. Thank you guys for viewing this video. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you again with another review. Bye and have a great day.
Amazing!